Jordan and Brett started at the same company, on the same Monday, with the same $52,000 salary. Jordan was the harder worker, and everyone knew it. He stayed late, he never missed a deadline, he answered emails at 10 p.m. and never complained once. 3 years later, Brett had been promoted twice, was earning $74,000, and had a seat in leadership meetings. Jordan was still at his original desk, still answering emails at 10 p.m., now making $54,000 after 2 small raises and quietly considering quitting for the first time in 3 years. We talk a lot on this channel about what to do with the money you already earn, but your income itself is the biggest financial lever most people never actually optimize. And the gap between Jordan and Brett wasn't talent and it wasn't luck. It was 5 specific minimalist moves. Nothing dramatic, nothing that requires working more hours than Jordan already was, that quietly compound into a completely different income trajectory over a few years. Here are the 5 moves, none of which require you to work harder than you already are.
Move 1. Make your work visible without ever bragging about it. My work speaks for itself is a belief that quietly caps a lot of careers. In any organization beyond a handful of people, nobody is tracking your daily output in real time. Not your manager, not anyone. Research published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that employees who proactively communicated their progress to supervisors were rated 23% higher in performance evaluations than employees who produced identical work but said nothing. Same output, 23% higher rating, and the only variable was a short professional update. Something as simple as, just wanted to loop you in, wrapped up the proposal 2 days early, the client responded well, takes 30 seconds, and leaves your name attached to a win in your manager's head. Those small notes accumulate, and accumulated notes are what promotion decisions actually get built from.
Move 2. Never bring a problem without at least one proposed solution attached to it. Picture 2 employees discovering the same client issue on the same morning. One walks in and says, "We've got a problem. I don't know what happened." The other sent a message saying, "Caught an issue. Here's what I think happened. Here are 2 ways we could handle it. I'm leaning toward option 2. Wanted your input before I moved." Those 2 people get remembered completely differently from that day forward. Bringing a problem with no solution turns you into additional work for your manager. Bringing a problem with a thought-out option turns you into a resource, someone who's already thinking one level above their current role, which is precisely the mindset that gets noticed when the next role opens up. Move 3. Build a network across the organization before you actually need one. Most employees maintain exactly one real professional relationship at work, their direct manager, which is a genuinely fragile position to be in. A large share of internal opportunities are never formally posted. They get filled through conversations and referrals among people who already know each other across departments. If you only know your own corner of the building, you're simply not in those conversations when they happen, regardless of how good your work is. This includes, notably, how you treat people with less organizational power than you. That behavior gets noticed far more carefully than most people realize, and it follows you upward, whether you meant it to or not. Move 4. Document your contributions and conversations as you go, quietly and consistently. This is the one that protects you specifically when things get uncertain. Someone who believes their relationship with their manager is solid, based purely on memory and general positive vibes, has nothing to point to if a restructure happens and their role gets questioned. Following up a significant verbal conversation with a short confirming email, "Just confirming from our conversation, I'll be leading the Mercer project with a deadline of the 15th, isn't paranoia. It's a basic professional habit that costs almost nothing and matters enormously later. Whether you're negotiating a raise, making a case for promotion, or simply defending your own record when memory alone won't hold up. Move 5. Keep one eye on the role you want next while fully delivering the role you're in right now. This is the move that actually ties the other 4 together.
Smart employees don't wait to be promoted before starting to act like someone who deserves it. They're investing in relevant skills, visibility, and relationships in parallel with their current work, not after it, and not only once a review or a layoff forces the issue. This isn't about being distracted from your current job. It's about treating your career the way you'd treat any other long-term financial asset, something you're actively managing and building, rather than something you passively wait for someone else to notice and reward.
Let's talk about what this actually looks like in dollar terms, because career growth needs real numbers behind it, just as much as any other financial topic we cover here. Jordan's trajectory, 2 small raises over 3 years, moved him from $52,000 to $74,000, a total increase of about 4% across 3 years, barely keeping pace with inflation in most years. Brett's trajectory, driven by the same 5 habits compounding quietly, moved him from $52,000 to $74,000 over the same 3 years, a 42% increase. That's not a difference in effort. Jordan, by every account, worked just as hard, arguably harder in raw hours. It's a difference in which specific things that effort was attached to, and whether anyone beyond Jordan himself actually knew about it.
Let me walk through what actually diverged between them, because the gap didn't appear all at once. It compounded quietly, month after month, in ways that were nearly invisible at the time. In year 1, both were still learning their roles, and the difference was barely noticeable. Brett had started sending brief project updates to his manager. Nothing dramatic, just the occasional, "wrap this up, here's the outcome." Jordan assumed his manager could see his effort simply by being present and available. By year 1's end, Brett had a small, accumulated file of positive notes attached to his name. Jordan had put in the same hours with nothing specifically attached to them, beyond a general sense of being reliable. In year 2, a cross-departmental project came up that needed someone with relationships outside their immediate team. Brett had spent months having genuine conversations with people in adjacent departments, not networking in a transactional sense, just being someone people knew and liked working with. His name came up naturally when leadership was deciding who to tap. Jordan, who'd kept his head down and focused entirely on his own desk, wasn't in the conversation at all. Not because anyone disliked him, but because nobody outside his immediate team really knew what he was capable of. By year 3, the gap had become large enough to be undeniable from the outside, even though no single moment had ever felt dramatic while it was happening. Brett's accumulated visibility, his habit of pairing problems with solutions, and his cross-organizational relationships had put him in rooms Jordan never entered. Jordan was still doing excellent work. He simply wasn't the only variable in the equation, and by year 3, that gap was the entire story.
So if you're currently the person working hard, doing everything right, and still feeling like you're running in place, here's what I actually want you to take from this. The answer was never work harder. You're almost certainly already doing that. The answer is picking one of these 5 moves, probably visibility or solution-first thinking, since both can start literally today with 0 additional hours worked, and building it into a habit before you assume the next one applies to you. If this reframed how you think about career growth as a financial decision instead of just a work ethic one, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more videos that treat your income itself as the asset worth optimizing, not just what you do with it afterward. And tell me in the comments, which of these 5 moves are you already doing, and which one is your actual blind spot? I read every single one. I'll see you in the next one.